snooze, and he knows full well under him that if he's on the bench, the cameras will keep panning to him. If Bayindir makes a bit of a mistake, they'll pan to him. So I think he's just said to Onana, I'll take you right out the firing line, you go away, get your head right. But if Bayindir has a worldie today, how can he guarantee that Onana's going to play the next game? I don't get that.
Well, we'll see what happens, won't we? Mark Wilson, the contrast couldn't be starker, could they? I mean, the unsettled nature of Manchester United, the leaking defence, the fact that they don't score enough goals, they haven't got potency going forward. It's the complete opposite at Newcastle United.
Yeah, they solid team, use very few players. They've got a guy up front who can't stop scoring in Alexander Isak. They've got probably one of the best midfield trios in the Premier League, if not beyond that as well. So you just look in every department of the two teams as we look at them today, that Newcastle have got the advantage.
Yeah, I did look at that midfield department earlier on, and I thought about Christian Eriksen and Ugarte up against Tonali, Joel Linton and Bruno Guimaraes.
It's not the quickest midfield, is it, Manchester United? It's a problem that they're going to have to address. I'm pleased to see Harry Amos get a start. He was terrific in pre-season, and you just thought, well, he's going to really train on under Ten Hag. Then got injured, obviously change of manager, and he's not really featured much since. I don't think Patrick Dorgu, when he came in, has actually sort of torn up many trees. I mean, he fits that system, but yeah, give the kid a chance.
That was a look at the biggest game of the weekend with Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
The biggest game of the weekend on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Making a big move or planning a clear out with vans of all shapes and sizes. If you've got a plan, we've got a van.
Hibernian have taken a 4-goal lead against Dundee. They're certainly pushing to finish third in the Scottish Premiership. Let's get to the latest odds, all from Betfair.
Odds update on TalkSport with Betfair. Get a free £10 bet when you bet £10 on Football Hackers or Bet Builders this week. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18 plus gambleware.org.
And we welcome Sam Rossbottom back to the show. Sam, let's get the pre-match odds for Newcastle against Manchester United. We're talking about Newcastle being really settled. They're so settled that Anthony Gordon is back fit today and he can't get in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean, just goes to show, doesn't it, this Newcastle team. Mean business. They've got one trophy in the bag, haven't they, this season, which is amazing, and going for that Champions League place. Unsurprisingly, they are really fancied to win this game, as short as 8-15. They're going for the league double today over United, and they've got some great form recently against them. They've won 4 of their last 5. Interesting chat around Manchester United's changes today. Obviously, the goalkeeper, the notable change. I mean, shame he's still got 10 outfield players in front of him, isn't it, for United? They have lost their last 2 league games away at St James's Park. For them to turn around that bad run of form, 4-1 United are to get all 3 points. The draw currently 5-2. Looking at the teams, unsurprisingly, Alexander Isak, very, very popular with punters today. We have odds boosted him to score. That's now even money. I'm looking around, and you know me, I like to delve into the stats. There's a player that's standing out for me for Newcastle, Harvey Barnes. He's had 2 or more shots in all 7 of his home Premier League starts for Newcastle. In fact, he had 7 shots in the last home game against Brentford. He is very, very short to have 2 or more today, but if you make them shots on target, those odds go out to 15-8. He could be a good option as well for Betfair's brand new feature called Build-Ups, where you can match up player versus player on selections like goals, shots, fouls and more, and bet on who will come out on top. So, for example, you could match Harvey Barnes up against Bruno Fernandes, and for him to have more shots on target than the Man United man, that's coming out at 13-10. You could roll him into a bet builder as well. Barnes, 2 or more shots on target, Newcastle to win, and over 2.5 goals in the match is coming out at 4-1 when you combine all 3 in a bet builder. Should be an interesting game though, this one, and obviously massive for the race for a Champions League spot for Newcastle.
Perry's killed our charity bet again, so can I cash him out? Is that possible?
Your team has killed our charity bet, not me.
All right, don't bite. Cheers, Sam. Thank you very much. That's all thanks to Betfair. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Odds update on TalkSport with Betfair. Get a free £10 bet when you bet £10 on Football Hackers or Bet Builders this week. Opt-in and previous deposit required. Minimum odds and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Any sign of a Birmingham fight back in Abrahams?
12 minutes into the second half, still Birmingham 0, Peterborough 2. Well, slightly. I mean, James Stansfield from the edge of the box has had a shot saved low by Jed Steer. Remember, Peterborough ahead thanks. Mills free kick. He spent 9 years at the Aston Villa Academy in the league game earlier this season. They won 3-2. But the longer this goes on at 2-0, the longer you fancy Peterborough might hang on. The free kick. Now from down. Goal and straight into the arms of Steer. What a waste. Second half commentary on TalkSport 2 of Birmingham 0, Peterborough 2.
Interesting. What a season Manchester United's women's team are having. And it could get even better, Natalie Pike.
Manchester City 0, Manchester United.
And what's going on the course right now? Strong start for Matsuyama, who knows a thing or two about turning up on a Sunday at Augusta. Bogey free and 2 under 3-7 today. To be honest, nothing too notable going on right now, just those teeing off who are over par, trying to get into the red and climb up as high as possible. But actually, a major point of interest, the Masters being one of the most traditional events in sport, have mixed things up for today. The Sunday traditional pin on 16 has changed to match that of the final round of the 1975 Masters in honour of the 50th anniversary of Jack Nicklaus winning his 5th green jacket.
The Masters update on TalkSport with Arnold Clark. Build your own car deal, all with a few clicks.
Is Oscar Piastri still leading the Bahrain Grand Prix? Tom Clayton.
He is indeed, lap number 11, and he's stretching his lead as well. 3.7 seconds the gap now to George Russell in second. We are starting to see the... The early pit stops coming in for those who started on the soft tyre, including Lando Norris, who has served a 5-second penalty for being out of position on the grid. Those who started on the mediums are...
4 goals to 0. You're listening to the Sunday session on TalkSport with the Tour Network. Stick with us. We're going to build up to the game at St James's Park, which is coming next.
Sunday session on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Making a big move or planning a clear out with vans of all shapes and sizes. If you've got a plan, we've got a van.
This Tuesday, Amazon brings the unmissable UEFA Champions League match. Aston Villa versus PSG.
Magnificent. A wonderful goal.
This Tuesday, Aston Villa versus PSG. It's on Prime.
Darren could get an offer from a random car dealer. Or sell direct to We Buy Any Car. The dealer could come to his home, kick his tyres, then decide not to buy it. Or he could get a guaranteed sale, leaving more time to take his other half on a romantic getaway. Oh no. Or ooh la la. To get a quote in 30 seconds, enter your reg number now at WeBuyAnyCar.com.
A Minecraft movie has arrived in McDonald's Happy Meal. Help your little ones build their own adventure. Explore the overworld and meet exciting new friends. Some fun, some food, it's all inside this Happy Meal. until 6th of May from 11 a.m. Includes one pre-selected book or toy. While stocks last, fair ordering policy applies. See mcdonalds.co.uk/Happy Meal.
It's just you versus your mates with Le Bon, the quality new football predictor app. With Le Bon, you predict the results for the weekend's big games. Invite your mates, then add a few quid to the in-app pot. The mate with the most points at the end of the weekend wins the cash kitty. Simple. With Le Bon, it's just you versus your mates, wherever you are. Download the Le Bon app today and get your mates on it this weekend. LEBOM. Le Bon. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org. Winning subject to 10% transaction fee.
We've got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the train goes.
This month at Selco Builders Warehouse, we've got a mega deal on 450 by 450mm Stamford ribbon slabs for a mega £2.35 each ex VAT. Get down to Selco to grab a mega deal while stocks last. Check for details and more great offers online at selcobw.com.
We've got it at Selco. Selco, it's where the train goes.
That charged at 20%.
Switching to Vodafone full fibre broadband is now as easy as pie. Oh, freshly baked. It's a walk in the park. Hello, little fella. It's like taking candy from a baby. Come on, as if I'd do that. With One Touch Switch, it's easy. We sort everything out for you. We even contact your current provider. Plus, we'll help towards leaving fees. Switch today to full fibre broadband with Vodafone.
Credit of up to £100 to cover leaving fees. Visit vodafone.co.uk/broadband to find out about the switch process and for terms.
Sunday session on TalkSport with Sky Sports. Stream the biggest Premier League games available with no contract on now. Like Newcastle versus Manchester United live tomorrow. Search Now Sports. 18 plus. Stream via internet. Terms apply.
Live Wednesday night Champions League football on TalkSport.
Brilliant goal!
Real Madrid versus Arsenal.
And that settles it.
More than busting build-up from 7.
Kick-off at 8 p.m.
In moments of magic.
Continental night kicks. Wednesday night. On fan-fueled live football phenomenon. TalkSport.
What a day again in the Premier League. It never ceases to disappoint.
Cuts it back for Garnacho. Fires it into the roof of the net.
Isak in front of goal. Toe pokes it in. Brilliant finish. A hat-trick for Isak. Inside an hour.
We are being more consistent. We played the game, so we'll try to do the same on Sunday.
And that's very important.
Just recently, of course, nobody needs reminding, he brought them that League Cup. Eddie Howe ill, he's been in hospital, unable to take charge of Newcastle today. Jason Tindall, his number 2, takes control of the team. So we'll bring you more reaction at half-time to the day's big sporting stories. And of course, we'll be back to Augusta as well. Final round of the Masters, 7:25 on 5 Live with Rory McIlroy's 2-shot lead. All that to come at the interval at St James's Park. Newcastle United versus Manchester United, one of the great fixtures of the Premier League era. And Pat Nevins with Mike Minor.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, the camera's just holding in on Jason Tindall in his bright white hoodie and black tracksuit bottoms. He's just embraced Ruben Amorim. The team's out here at an overcast St James's Park. It was bright sunshine when we arrived. It's since clouded over, but still mild here in the northeast. An important game for Newcastle, this one. This weekend they've seen Manchester City and Aston Villa win, but Nottingham Forest lose, and Chelsea earlier today drop points. That means the door's open for them to possibly, over the next 4 days, Pat, be as high as 3rd in the Premier League.
Yeah, and it's such excitement around this place. I mean, the celebratory feeling they've had since that cup final. But if they could get Champions League, what a season this would be for Newcastle fans, for how long they've waited. You know, obviously they played Champions League recently, but I think they would go into this one in better shape. So they know how important it is. They've got Manchester United who, you would argue, have limited amounts of pressure on them today because the expectations are so low. They know that you've got Europe on their minds as much as anything else, but there's pride there. If you wear that red jersey, there should be pride. Very interesting, by the way, in the build-up to this. The warm-ups from the Manchester United, warm-ups like I've never seen before. any other team. Really unusual. It was like a training session, set up corner kicks against, set up free kicks in very specific areas against, really specifically for two things. You know where Newcastle is strong, but also new goalkeeper. He needs to know where to be. He needs every single moment where that ball's coming in, for what angle, when he comes, when he doesn't. Let's see how he manages.
Well, for Newcastle, they're unchanged. The home side this afternoon from their 3-0 win at Leicester on Monday night. So Nick Pope's in goal. Trippier, Cher, Byrne and Livramento, the back four. Dan Byrne in the programme talking about how important it is now that the Cup is won, the League Cup that they won last month, how important now it is to get back in the Champions League. Guimaraes, Joe Linton and Tonali are in midfield. Tonali's 50th appearance for the Magpies. Murphy and Isaac plus Harvey Barnes, their front three. For Manchester United, as Pat mentioned, Thursday night is the priority. The second leg of their Europa League quarter-final with Lyon. A game that you can hear with us on 5 Line. It was the first leg that certainly has sparked the talking point for today's game, team news-wise. Andre Onana dropped. Altay Bayindir starts his first ever Premier League game, and he's just walked to the edge of his penalty area, having gone through his rituals on the goal line and patting his gloves together. Stands with his feet shoulder width apart. Big afternoon for him. Andre Onana has played every Premier League game since he arrived at Old Trafford. They both arrived at a very similar period a couple of years ago under Eric Ten Hag. 5 changes, which includes the goalkeeper, plus Maguire, Casemiro, Dorgu and Højlund, who all drop out as Bruno Fernandes starts us off. In comes Lindelof, Eriksson, Xerxes and Harry Amas as well. The 18-year-old gets his first ever Premier League start, got his debut last month against Leicester City. I'll run you through the Manchester United team in full in a minute, because Murphy is trying to get the early cross in from the right-hand side. Bayindir and Lindelof. A question of communication. And it is cleared away by Manchester United in the end, as we welcome listeners from the BBC World Service to St James's Park this afternoon. Newcastle United against Manchester United, underway inside the first minute. Livramento playing at left back today, squares it in field for Joe Linton. Space opens up out towards the right corner of the penalty area for Jacob Murphy. Couple of goals for him on Monday night in the win over Leicester. Cross in from the right hand side, and there's Joe Linton, but the flag goes up and it won't count. Newcastle thought they had scored inside the opening minute.
Is coming forward, he hits one from distance, he goes down, but in the end it ricochets away to Livramento, driving forwards. In the end it's a good foot in from Dalot, who does really well to keep the ball in play. Masraoui with a sharp turn. Now it's Bruno Fernandes coming forwards, opens it up, finds Garnacho. Good moment this from Manchester. Into this one, perfect him to start on Thursday. Maybe Kobbie Mainoo will go into it on Thursday as well. But the starting lineups, well, Newcastle are unchanged from their 3-0 victory away at Leicester last time out, and that means Nick Pope is in goal. Back four of Trippier, Cher, Byrne and Livramento. Midfield three of Guimaraes, Tonali and Joe Linton, with Murphy, Isaac and Harvey Barnes as the front three. Whereas for Manchester United, I'll bring you their lineup in a moment, but Murphy comes forward, hits it from distance and he puts it just wide in the end. It's a brilliant strike from Murphy, who has been on some fine form at the moment, hasn't he? Everything he seems to touch at the moment It's turning into goal as Trippier found their pass, hits it from the edge of the box, and it whiskers just wide.
It does whisker just wide, but it's a case of he's just got unlucky that it's gone just wide. Bayern may be able to cover it, but with the pace on the ball, you can never be too sure. And if that creeps inside that bottom corner, it really creates some issues for Manchester United and really sets up Newcastle for that ever so needed win.
Yeah, it's a really good moment there from Murphy. A good response to Manchester United, just having a little bit of joy. The starting 11 for Amorim's side. Bayindir coming in goal. Mazraoui Lindelof is coming as well, with Yoro as the left centre half. Yoro coming off the back of scoring his first Manchester United goal against Lyon. Dalot and Amas as either wing backs, with Ugarte and Eriksen in the middle. Garnacho Fernandes sat just behind Joshua Zirkzee, who thought he'd grabbed the winner midweek against Lyon. It was a brilliant header from the Dutchman, but in the end his goal was instantly cancelled out only a few minutes later by a mistake from Onana, which was tapped home by Ryan Cherky. Excuse me. As we see Ugarte coming forwards now down this right hand side, he finds Diogo Dalot. It's been a lively start to this one. Ball in behind is completely overhit and just not on the same wavelength as it goes out for a goal kick.
Yeah, certainly not. And of course, they're trying to come forward and create some issues, but in that instance there, Manchester United just not really having maybe the creativity, but certainly not the execution to make that pass and really cause any meaningful issues for Nick Pope.
Yeah, Ruben Amorim, it's not been the greatest of times for him. Only won 6 of his 20 Premier League games in charge so far. I don't think there's any doubt there necessarily that he's a good coach and that he's got a good system behind him. He just doesn't necessarily have the players to really fit this system so far, and he's not really had a proper transfer window to do what necessarily he likes and to build what he wants. So the summer's going to be very interesting for Manchester United, as we now just see Fabian Schär in possession. Goes out to Kieran Trippier, who picks it up once again. Now it's back to Fabian Schär. 6 minutes on the clock in this one. Newcastle just trying to get a grip of this game. Good defending there from Lenny Yoro, who then almost tripped on the ball. Now it's going to be Harry Amas coming forwards down the left-hand side. Turns away and goes back to Christian Eriksen. They've won back-to-back Premier League games, have Newcastle, and today looking for their 5th win in all competitions in a row. So certainly big moments to be had potentially for Newcastle today, as we see Diogo Dalot in possession. Lindelof now very high up the pitch is the Swedish centre half. Of course, up against his and there Isak. What a season he's having.
Battle of the Uniteds today. Manchester United's goalkeeper just invited a little bit of pressure whilst Pat was talking from Alexander Isak. Distributed it out to the near side right rather comfortably in the end. Goal as it is, and again Bayindir just stalls on the ball, waits and waits till Isak gets within a yard of him and then clears it long. Now Bruno Fernandes can't get it to the halfway line. Guimaraes, the Newcastle United number 8, has intercepted the ball. Now faces up against the Portuguese midfielder at Manchester United again. Was there a push in the back? Guimaraes on the far side, not given by the referee Chris Kavanagh this afternoon. We'll have semi-automated offsides today if needed as well. The new introduction right at the back end of the Premier League season. Hopefully get those VAR decisions moving a little quicker. Long ball by Manchester United. Trippier's there just to comfortably deal with that. Now in the middle of the Newcastle back four.
Yeah, the game really hasn't settled down into a pattern yet, and it's quite often the case.
couple of minutes we saw, there's no indication that anything's going to change anytime soon. But of course, he does have his injury problems, Fabian Schär. As we now see Garnacho under pressure from Dan Burn, who's followed him all the way up the pitch. Mazraoui goes forward up towards Bruno Fernandes, looks for the dummy, it ricochets to Isaac, who looks to lay it off for Bruno Guimaraes. Good defending from Lenny Yoro, who gets the clearance. Diogo Dalot keeps it in play and does well down that line. Great strength though from Joelinton, who just makes light work of breezing Garnacho away from him, and then Garnacho gives away the free kick on the Brazilian. You think it's going to be some good battles in there. You think Ugarte is going to be involved in a lot of the battles between that Newcastle midfielder, who we know are very physical.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be up to Ugarte to really apply that pressure, because when you look at Manchester United's midfield, including Amas and Dalot, who will be quite wide, Garnacho and Fernandes, they don't have the the count's going to be all up onto that one man in Manuel Ugarte, and whether he can keep calm that Newcastle midfield and allow them to absolutely bully them on the pitch. But as it stands so far, it's definitely been Newcastle who've got the better of that midfield battle.
Yeah, absolutely is. As we see Trippier over the free kick towards the back post, it's commanding goalkeeping and good goal. Not under a lot of pressure, but Xerxes, we see it back now. What a turn that is from Xerxes. Lovely return pass from Bruno Fernandes. What a save from Nick Pope, and it's a corner kick. Where's this been all season from Manchester United?
Where has that come from Joshua Xerxes? Spinning back heel, lovely weight, lovely direction, straight into the path of Fernandes. Not only was it a good pass, but it also allowed him to turn in one move. And the shot was decent as well. It's a good save from Nick Pope, as Manchester United are coming out with that corner, but that was lovely play.
Nick Pope gathers it at his front post and will come away from it. Yeah, it's outstanding from Xerxes and Bruno Fernandes. They just seemed like they were on the same wavelength there. They knew exactly what they needed from each other, and it was lovely from them. The initial pass from Xerxes was real quality, and he's got that in his locker. That's the type of player he is. From his time at Bologna, he was such a playmaker. He wasn't a number 9 at Bologna, and Manchester United fans, they're almost, well, because they're using him in that number 9, thinking that's his position. It isn't. So he has that playmaking style in his locker. He's a really tricky player, but he's been played as a number 9 a lot this season, which takes away a lot of that. Picking it up from deep driving forwards is what he's best at, and unfortunately we haven't seen it so far at United, as Harvey Barnes puts a ball across the face of goal, and it's well defended by Harry Amas. But almost 13 minutes into this one, this has been a lively start.
It certainly has. Both teams haven't. Great opportunities to come forward. Obviously that wonderful move from Manchester United just there to break through the Newcastle fake based off of how it started.
Absolutely. As we see Murphy in possession, whips it in towards the back post. Well taken by India once again. But yeah, the best chance of this opening game, 13 and a half minutes so far. Certainly has fallen to Joshua Xerxes. It was a brilliant save as well by Nick Pope, by the way. Great reactions to tip it over the bar, which was massive from the goalkeeper in the end. And Manchester United didn't take advantage of getting the corner. And then by India's clearance up towards Xerxes, evades the Dutchman and goes all the way into the path of Fabian Schär. Newcastle, of course, know that this is a massive game. Like we said, it's an opportunity to jump all the way from 7th to 4th today, which is a massive chance for them. Nick Pope with the ball to the right hand. That's a terrible ball from the Newcastle goalkeeper, and out for a throw in. Manchester United just look a little bit more confident than the home side so far.
Yeah, they certainly do, and as you specified there, Newcastle are the home side, and it's usually the other way round. Of course, Newcastle being at St James's Park, you'd assume that they'd be a little bit more confident, a little bit more comfortable on the ball. Dan Brown's still getting up into the pitch and winning it back, playing it into Isak, who puts a ball into the back post, but no one's there to meet it, so it goes out for a Manchester United goal kick. But yeah, as you say, aside from playing out from the back there where they look a little bit uncomfortable, Manchester United definitely looking the more comfortable side.
Yeah, certainly looking so at
He but he's gone behind for a goal kick.
Makes that control look so easy. He's a phenomenal control there. Gets it wide. Just puts it into an area that he would like to be in. Unfortunately, he's not there because he's playing the pass, but it's a really good ball in there between the centre backs, the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper didn't come for it, but I don't think it was an opportunity for it to come for it. Now, what do the Manchester United fans are a long way back behind Brian there, aren't they? But I think they like what they've seen so far. A real no-nonsense comfort about his start to this game. He's under a lot of pressure today. He's not showing it yet.
Certainly hasn't. Dan Burn wins his header on the halfway line. Yeah, those Manchester United fans are a long way from their goalkeeper. High up in one of these two looming stands that you can see as you drive across the River Tyne bridges. The stadium stands like a cathedral in the city centre. Lenny Yoro on the halfway line. 0-0 in a Premier League game that so often produces a classic. Here's Lindelof to Mazraoui on the right-hand side. Dallo comes in support, then slips, and Livramento could just poke the ball from underneath him. Good recovery from Manuel Ugarte on the slide. And he's given a free kick here, Chris Cabana, and a yellow card to Manuel Ugarte. Did seem that he poked the ball away, but whether he's come through behind, and that's what the referee's seen. Either way, Newcastle were going to get a set piece from it. The free kick is what Chris Kavanagh's given.
Ugarte had to make the tackle right, so if he doesn't get the ball, he's got to get the player there. And I don't think he gets the ball at all. I mean, he's only millimetres away there, but I mean, a defender of that level knows, if I'm not going to get the ball, I'm going to get the player. And I think the yellow card's probably the right thing. It's quite early to get a yellow card, but correct decision there. But once again, the break from Livramento on the left-hand side, he just gallops forward every time he gets the chance. Very, very dangerous. But a mistake from Man United has left a little half chance here for Newcastle.
Oh, well, Ugarte turns 24 on Friday. That wasn't the birthday card he was expecting. Into the book he goes. After 16 minutes here at an overcast St James's Park. Free kick in Newcastle. Almost level with the left corner at the penalty area, but kind of in between box and touchline. Trippier right-footed. That's sent high, hurling towards the back post. And behind for a goal kick. Let's head to Bahrain. Latest on the F1, Harry Benjamin.
It's lap 27 of 57. Oscar Piastri continues to lead this Grand Prix from pole position. He's 6 seconds clear of George Russell. And then it's Charles Leclerc in third after the first pit stops. It feels like this race is swinging now towards the Ferrari drivers, but it's still very much Piastri who holds firm at the top. Lando Norris is fourth.
Commentary of that continues on 5 Sports Extra. Harry, thank you. Exciting F1 season. Oscar Piastri will become the first man to win 2 races this season if he holds on to the lead in Bahrain. Another Manchester United goal kick. You missed nothing here at St James's Park. 0-0 on a pitch that is looking in pretty good condition, but I bet it's nowhere near as good as the greens at the Masters for the final round of the Masters tournament. Rory McIlroy, you'll hear every shot of his on BBC Radio 5 live from 7:30 tonight. He's trying to become only the 6th man in golf history to win a career Grand Slam is Rory McIlroy, the Northern Irishman. And Mark Chapman and the team will have coverage of that from 7:30 tonight on BBC Radio 5 live and BBC Sounds.
I'm not usually the jealous type, but I am slightly jealous of Alistair Ball at this point in time being over there for what could be one of the great evenings.
It's a tough kick he's got, isn't it? Out towards the far side, Manchester United in possession. Holding off Newcastle United here. In fact, there's still the biggest chance is that of Joshua Xerxes when he played a quick 1-2 with Fernandez inside the penalty area. Then Nick Pope had to parry it over the bar. Trippier's got a little bit of defending to do. That actually does really well. Timed his header, nudged it past Bruno Fernandez. Then on the stretch, manages to send it back to his goalkeeper Nick Pope, who goes long himself. Lenny Yoro can easily collect that, take his time and go back to outside Bayendier. Away to our left-hand side in a lime green Manchester United outfit. The goalkeeper in place of Andre Onana, who has been given some time to rest and disconnect. They were the words of Manchester United club sources to the BBC earlier. That's a lovely spinning ball from Joshua Xerxes off the top of his boot. Eriksson was trying to get on the end of it, racing forward. Tonali, I think, was back there for Newcastle doing the defending on that instant. Number 8, Lenny Yoro back to Bayendier again.
Rest and connect. Right, just say it. He was dropped. And that's the way it is, and it's, you know, you can deal with it. You're a big boy. Deal with it. You've not been playing that well. Just get yourself back in shape again if you can possibly do. If you can possibly do it. Successful Manchester United manager.
Well, the Manchester United manager currently in his grey chinos and his black hoodie. He's on his haunches here on the edge of his technical area. He's a poser, Amarin. He loves, I feel like a camera shot, so they'll get him on his haunches here. He's a pacer as well of his technical area. Very rarely stands still when he is upright. Right now still on bended knee as Newcastle United play a long ball over towards this near side there left. Dallo in the right back position heads it. Livramento's on the recovery though, and here is Harvey Barnes with a little pass square in field of Joe Linton. Joe Linton keeps it going once more over to Guimaraes, who floats it back post to Trippier, tries to keep it in, calm, with a little skip in the air, and Manchester United will have a goal kick.
Just a bit of a waste there. I mean, Trippier makes this flying run forward, but didn't need to. If he'd have stayed static, the ball would have been played to him, one touch and really to a cross in. But he ran behind the defender, made it a difficult ball to play, which he wasn't able to play there. So, good opportunity for Newcastle, didn't manipulate it well.
Ruben Amorim certainly trying to get his instructions across during this goal kick. The boozer for the delay from Altay Bayendier, who is in a rush to take this away to our left-hand side, almost midway through the first half. He could also, Ruben Amorim, if he wants to turn on 38-year-old Tom Heaton, who's on the bench as a substitute goalkeeper this afternoon for Manchester United. Turns 39 in a couple of days as well, the former Aston Villa and Burnley shot stopper. Jacob Murphy in from the right-hand side. Guimaraes, right-footed cross in towards Isak. Downward header! And wide of the left-hand post behind for a goal.
In the bottom corner, absolutely nothing Bayendier can do. Maybe question the defence of Manchester United's centre halves of whether or not they should have tracked his run, but you can take nothing away from the goal, and especially nothing away from the assist.
Wow, it is magical from Alexander Isak. We talk about him being a finisher. He is so much more than just your flat-out number 9. He gives you absolutely everything up front, and that is living proof of what he brings. Tonali, even the finish is outstanding for a central midfielder. He truly is. But Manchester United playing into trouble. Ugarte, he's not got a lot of on-the-ball quality. Under pressure, just boots it without even looking. and it goes to no one. Trippier finds Isak, takes a touch, sets it up for a volley pass over the top is perfectly weighted. Sandro Tonali, the Italian, then just comes into it on the volley and guides it into that far corner. The assist is brilliant, the finish is outstanding, and the goal, well, I wouldn't necessarily say it deserved for Newcastle, but 24 and a half minutes on the clock. It is a massive one. It puts them up to 4th place so far. What a goal it is, 1-0.
Certainly is an absolutely amazing goal from the Italian international. Sandro Tonali, he's known for his physicality, known for his strength and his creativity. He's also known to have a wonderful shot on him. It's his 3rd goal in the Premier League this season for Newcastle, as Alexander Isak bags yet another assist. Dan Burn typically wins another header as the ball falls all the way through to Lenny Yoro, and then once more to Lindelof and Bayindir. Manchester United playing out from the back yet again, nearly losing out once more. That's of course what led to the goal, as the ball goes over the top to Xerxes, and then he tries to flick it back to Bruno Fernandes, but loses possession eventually, and Newcastle will build up from the halfway line with Kieran Trippier. He drives up the right hand side, lays it off to Murphy. Lovely pass and play from Newcastle. Murphy may be offside, this certainly calls for it, but he looks to put the ball into the box. The ball eventually goes out, no flag up from the referee yet, which means he thinks he was onside, and the ball into the box. Not great from Jacob Murphy, well intercepted by Ugarte, and Manchester United will break out from here. Joshua Xerxes, lovely pass up to the right hand side for Delo. Once more to Mazraoui. Finds himself in a makeshift centre-half role that he's played since coming to Manchester United, and underneath Amorim. Fernandes complaining about something to the referee, not entirely sure what, maybe claims of a free kick that should have gone his way, but Livramento keeping hold of the ball as it goes out towards Dan Burn, and Newcastle United find themselves 1-0 up in this game, but certainly weren't the favourites to score first. But ever since that first goal, it seems like they'd be more likely to get a second.
Yeah, just maybe controlling the game a little bit more. Good play there from Alexander Isak. He's starting to drop a little bit deeper, a little bit wider to get involved in this game. And he's dragging a centre-half with him the whole time, which is creating space elsewhere on the pitch for Newcastle forwards. Lindelof this time has followed him all the way out to near the throwing line and gives away a free kick. Another opportunity to find one of the likes of Isak, Dan Burn, Joelinton, Fabian Schär. Great opportunity to get this ball in the area again. What Manchester United can't do is let this game get away from them in this first half.
Certainly not, as the ball's played over the top into the path of Alexander Isak, but this time not good enough, and Bruno Fernandes has yet again barked his orders at his teammates as Isak places the ball on the corner flag. And it's a good opportunity for Newcastle to get a ball into the box. Of course, corners have been such a big asset to their game this season. I think that is thanks to the 6'6" target of Dan Burn. Well, Bayindir looks set to defend as they take it short, Newcastle. Interestingly enough, not putting the ball into the box, and Tonali sets himself up for a shot on the edge of the box, and it's not a bad shot in the end. It doesn't look like Bayindir had that covered, and maybe if it was right in the corner could have snuck in, but just on the wrong side of the post here for the Italian.
Yeah, there's not a lot this man can't do. I've seen him score beauties all season, really. He's got some absolute worldies. There was a game I did where they played against Brentford earlier on in the cup this season. He's got an absolute worldie from the edge of the box. We've already seen him score a volley in this one, and he's so almost got his second. It just felt no one closed him down. It's almost like they were telling him to shoot. And why would you want him to shoot after what you've just seen him do moments ago on the volley? I mean, it's not far away at all from finding that bottom corner. They're full of confidence, and Newcastle going forward at the moment, who just win the ball back with ease again. I thought Manchester United had a really good opening, maybe 15 minutes or so in this one, but have just struggled since then.
They certainly have, as they look to play it out from the back yet again. Lenny Yoro doesn't have too many options on the field. Just coming up on the 29th minute, Newcastle 1, Manchester United 0. Unofficial off-tube studio-based commentary as Manchester United play the ball into the centre of the park. Christian Eriksen collects now to the right hand side with Garnacho. He's dispossessed, so it will go out for a Manchester United. Sorry, it will actually go out for a Newcastle United corner. So it must have maybe taken a double touch as Joe Linton plays the ball into Murphy. Now Isak. He picks the ball up on the edge of the box. He's looking for options. Tries to play it out towards Murphy on the right hand side. It does eventually get through to him after a couple of deflections. Kieran Trippier now to Guimaraes. And once more to Trippier. He puts the ball into the box but didn't get past the first man. Ugarte now in the centre of the park. Lays it off to Ericsson. Once more to Fernandes. And Ugarte actually gets in his own way. And eventually Manchester United get a free kick. So they will get out here. But the warning sign's definitely there for Manchester United.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Just struggling at the moment. Man United to necessarily create any real sustained possession. Get into the final third is something they're not doing at the moment. Bruno Fernandes, a lot of his work, he's coming very deep so far, which shows the frustration of him at the moment because they're struggling to get forwards. Ever since that lovely bit of play between Xerxes and Fernandes that we saw led to that Pope save, they've not created any. I don't think they've got into the final third since then.
No, because they're struggling to play out from the back. Unfortunately, Manchester United trying to get out. Diogo Dalot finds himself on the ball. Up in a shoulder-to-shoulder battle against Joel Linton. He actually comes out on top. Now we've got Garnacho, ball into the middle to Fernandes. Xerxes can't quite get to it. And both Fernandes and Xerxes scrambling to get the ball. Neither of them had it under control. And Newcastle eventually get it away. And it will be a Newcastle's throw-in in a right-back position on the right hand side if you're Newcastle, and that's a big opportunity for Manchester United there. If Bruno Fernandes is a step back, same with Xerxes, either one of them, they've got a good opportunity.
Yeah, and Bruno Fernandes, he just runs onto it all wrong because it's going across his body onto his weaker left foot. He just approaches it a little bit awkwardly. He swings his left foot really weirdly at it in the end, doesn't he? Which means he doesn't get any real proper contact on it. It's a waste. In the end, I'll break off. Here comes Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, Harvey Barnes on the left-hand side does well to try and get round Mazraoui. Always stumbling, always falling. But in the end, pokes it a little bit too hard and into the path of Altay Bayindir. And he'll collect it well. I will say he's not really being tested other than the one shot from Tonali that went in on goal. He's not had to make too many saves because they've been only slightly off target. But he's looked a little bit more comfortable in goal than you'd maybe expect of his first Premier League start, or his Premier League debut at that, as Dan Byrne finds himself on the ball. He plays it back to his centre-half partner with Fabian Schär. Plays it to Nick Pope, who finds himself all the way out of his box, right back almost. And a long ball over the top is a poor one from the Newcastle goalkeeper, which means it will go out for a Manchester United throw. This is Lenny Yoro on the ball into Christian Eriksen. As Manchester United play the ball along their back line, almost inviting that pressure from Newcastle. Bayindir organising his defence and plays it out from the back, although on the left hand side Harry Amas has been dispossessed as Joel Linton using his physicality to shrug off Ugarte with ease almost, eventually falling into the path of Dalot's tackle, but Newcastle United still have the ball. Harvey Barnes to Livramento, a ball into the box, deflected away by Bayindir, and a wonderful double save by Bayindir. He pokes it away from the cross and it falls, sets itself up perfectly for a volley from Alexander Isak. The shot is at the central of the goal, but Bayindir has to get there and make that save, and he does it wonderfully.
It's a brilliant save from Bayindir, and it was from the volley from Alexander Isak, the player that you'd almost think you'd bank on him scoring it, wouldn't you? But it is a brilliant save rather than a bad miss from Isak. I'll break off. Here come Newcastle again.
Yeah, Newcastle in the edge of the box. Isak finds himself in the box, pokes it past Bayindir, but so wide. He can't really get a shot off, but it's actually a really, really good attempt there from Alexander Isak. I said he couldn't get a shot off. He did get a shot off. It was so wide. If that went in, I mean, that was remnants of the one Jermaine Defoe goal from absolute years ago. But Newcastle absolutely running rampant here.
Yeah, certainly. I actually think Isak's maybe crossing that second one where he sticks it back in, and it's a great delivery if he is. I think because he goes so wide, no other Newcastle players expect it to go back in as well as it did. And off balance, it was an outstanding delivery from Isak. I'd have been shocked if he was going for goal from that tight angle, but you never know. If there's a player that can do it, it's probably him, isn't it? It's Joelinton wins his header, but he heads it backwards and it falls to Harvey Barnes. Attack is still live.
Yeah, Harvey Barnes does well to collect, puts the ball into the box. A header comes in from Dan Burn, and it's only just over the top of the crossbar. And Newcastle United hungry for their second goal in this game. Harvey Barnes picked the ball up, puts the ball into the box. Dan Burn maybe questions of whether or not he was offside, but it's a really big opportunity, and it's actually Joshua Zirkzee who's ended up defending him, which maybe is questions of Manchester United defence.
Yeah, definitely, as we just now see it. These players almost just watching on. So we're awaiting something to really happen from Manchester United's sense. 35 minutes on the clock, but Newcastle are pushing for that second, aren't they? They're really knocking on the door at the moment. They look good. They've looked good for a long time of Newcastle, haven't they? Of course, I covered that final as well against Liverpool. They were outstanding at Wembley in that, and you just feel like from then on, they've not really let a hangover happen from the celebrations, have they? They've been brilliant since that final, as well as we just see Trippier coming down the right.
Yeah, and it plays it into Jacob Murphy. A poor cross from Murphy, easily picked up by Christian Eriksen. The header's won by Dan Burn, as Eriksen tried to play it over the top, and Newcastle will recuperate their possession as Fabian Schär brings the ball to a standstill pace before playing it to Joelinton. Once more to Grameris, and yet again to Murphy. Murphy puts the ball into the box, looking for Isak, well defended by Lindelof. And Manchester United need to get it out quickly here, as they play a ball over the top, looking for Zirkzee to hold it up, but Newcastle United picking the ball up yet again. It's Joelinton battling for the ball. This time Ugarte comes out with the ball in that midfield battle, but he's faced up by Livramento as well, so he plays it to Dalot. Dalot has options to his left and his right, goes to his right for Garnacho. Garnacho into the box, takes a shot, and it's a wonderful finish there from the Argentinian winger for Manchester United, and it's a wonderfully tucked finish there from Alejandro Garnacho, and that will bag his 5th goal in the Premier League this season, and it will get Manchester United back into this game. A lovely build-up, a lovely finish. Looks like a lovely game.
And it certainly is, and that's exactly what we've been wanting from Alejandro Garnacho. It's a bit of composure in front of goal. It's everything that he's not necessarily had in his game so far over this last year or so, but it's everything that this Manchester United side are becoming, a strong counter-attacking team, and it's a lovely counter. Dalot finds Garnacho, and he just passes it into that far corner post, and he couldn't have hit it any better if he tried, but it's pure composure. And that's exactly what I think Ruben Amorim will pinpoint after the game with Garnacho. Show us more of that, because he gets so many opportunities in a game. His movement, his play on the ball, 99% of the time, he's really good. But then it's the final moment, the final pass, the final shot that lets him down usually. That is a great finish. Manchester United level things up. I can't say I saw it coming, but it is 1-1.
It certainly is 1-1. Alejandro Garnacho getting his 5th goal in the Premier League this season, adding to his tally. A tally that some would say maybe should be higher, and some would also still be impressed with. But Newcastle United, while they've had the most of possession, most of the chances, still only scoring the 1 goal, and that would be thanks to Bayindir and his wonderful save from the Isak shot. And even when Isak did get past him, he forced him wide, so good defence there from the goalkeeper. It's Alejandro Garnacho's 10th goal in all competitions this season, as Manchester United try to defend this corner. It will be an outswinger from Kieran Trippier's right boot. Of course, looking for Dan Burn. Ball into the box, absolutely flapped away by Altay Bayindir, but any way you get it away is a good way. And Joelinton finds himself with the ball on the edge of the box. It's an outside of the boot cross that he's got entirely wrong, has the Brazilian, as Lenny Yoro will collect the ball on the left-hand side and tries to play it into Harry Mass. He's brought down, no foul says the referee, and it will be a Newcastle United corner.
Yeah, corner for Newcastle. Harry Hamas, the man down at the moment. Fingers crossed that he's going to be okay to continue, because I don't think he's had a bad game so far. 39 minutes on the clock, 1-1 between these two sides. It was Trippier and Shah that just almost sandwiched him in that moment, didn't they? But it'll be interesting to see how that Man United goal will make Newcastle maybe react in that sense, because Newcastle were looking likely of going 2-0. Isaac had that chance, didn't he, where it was really well saved by India, but on another day it'd have been 2-0. So Newcastle, I guess, just have to keep doing what they're doing, keep creating chances.
It certainly will, as the ball comes into the box, onto the back post for Isak. Doesn't quite get the connection on his shot. Does collect the second ball, puts the ball into the box. Dan Burn goes up. Everyone goes up in the Newcastle shirt, but Manchester United get it away as Ugarte loses out on the header to Dan Burn. No fault to Ugarte, of course. I think most players in the Premier League will lose out to the header of Dan Burn. It's such an asset for Newcastle as we just cross over the 40th minute. It is Newcastle 1, Manchester United 1. Ruben Amorim will certainly be the happier manager of the last maybe 5-10 minutes as Manchester United win another corner on the left hand side, which means they'll hopefully be able to get it out, and from a Newcastle perspective it's a good opportunity for them to box them in as Harry Hamas looks for his options, not seeing too many. Isak, Ramirez and Tonali all marking his closest options, so the youngster will have to find an option. He goes for Bruno Fernandes. He plays it straight back to Hamas, and Hamas plays a ball pass into the path of Fabian Schär and then Dan Burn. But good defence from Mazraoui, wins the ball back, but now he's lost the ball yet again. He's caught out of position, so it is Harvey Barnes up against Victor Lindelof, and he's found himself out of position. Harvey Barnes flicks it off the boot of Lindelof and wins his side a throw-in on the left. Harvey Barnes will actually allow Livramento to take the throw-in as Newcastle gear up to hopefully get a goal before half-time. A little chop from Joel Linton means that Delo will put the ball out for a Newcastle corner. And of course, we know exactly how dangerous Newcastle can be from corners. The big man, Dan Burn, 6'6", as he towers over everyone, marching towards the back post, taking up his position. And Newcastle know how much of a threat he can be. Kieran Trippier with the right-footed cross from the left-hand side, so it will be an in-swinger. A little coming together between Hamas and Fabian Schär means that the corner will be retaken as Hamas just brought Fabian Schär down, so the referee will have a little talking to, but I can't imagine that going any further.
No, it's just a word for Hamas, who I think was just trying to keep up with Fabian Schär's movement, dragged him down before the corner kick was taken, but you can't do that again or you'll give away a penalty if the corner gets taken and the referee lets play continue.
Certainly will, as Schär and Hamas yet again in a little coming together. Lenny Yordo with a shove in the centre of the box, and if that gets looked at from VAR, that's just absolutely wild from Lenny Yordo.
Yeah, I just don't know what he's doing, the Frenchman. I really don't. He's been booked, but this is all before the corner's going to be taken, so there's going to be no penalty for Newcastle. But Harry Hamas is dealing with Fabian Schär. He's just trying to frustrate him. He's putting his hands on him and stuff. You'd see that in football. But then Lenny Yordo just almost moves across and just shoves Fabian Schär to the ground. I mean, it's ridiculous from the Frenchman. Doesn't need to get involved in that stuff. Corner taken.
The corner comes into the box on the back post. Headed on and almost into the back post. You can see what he's going for. Bruno Guimaraes with the header on goal. Unfortunately, he gets too much power behind the ball. You kind of want to let that one bounce off of your head and loop into the back post, but it's a difficult one to get right from Bruno Guimaraes, and a good opportunity for Newcastle to get a goal.
Yeah, it's half chance that from the Brazilian. I wonder whether maybe he could have just headed it back across the face of goal there. Maybe for a teammate. He's at a tight angle. He's not necessarily known for his quality in the air either, so yeah, it could have certainly been a much bigger opportunity, better opportunity in the end. But yeah, it goes over the bar. I think we've seen a bit of frustration from Newcastle at times now after conceding that goal. Murphy, impeded by Bruno Fernandes, goes out for a throw, but 44 minutes on the clock. I can't imagine Newcastle will be too happy with this scoreline, but up until it went 1-0, I think they'd have been happy with the performance, but Ruben Amorim will certainly be happy with how his side have dug in, had shown some good defensive moments, and then found the equaliser.
Yeah, they certainly will be happier of the two, maybe, as Manchester United have to defend this here. Lindelof had a little bit of a stumble, but dealt with it well. Lenny Yordo, he finds himself now on a yellow card, and I would say a very needless yellow card, as Manchester United play it up here. It looks like a 3v2. Newcastle players getting back and dealing with it well. A shot comes in from Garnacho, and it's a wonderful save in the end from Nick Pope, and the ball comes out to Delo. Now to Mazraoui on the right hand side. He lays it off to Fernandez. Fernandez looking for options in the box, doesn't have any, so he'll play it to Ugarte. No options still for Ugarte, so he's going to have to play it back, or maybe create something himself as he drives towards the byline, tries to put a ball into the box. He'll let it go out for a throw-in after it came off of the defending Valentino Livramento. But the shot there from Garnacho, almost out of nowhere, didn't have any real sight on goal, really tested Nick Pope.
Yeah, it's a good strike from Garnacho, a decent save from Pope as well, but he's looking sharp at the minute, is the Argentine forward. He's getting involved, he's not shying away from big moments, and that's what's needed. 2 minutes of added time. Long throwing coming up for Man United.
Diogo Dalot gearing up for the long throw. It goes straight in, tries to flick it on, does Victor Lindelof, but in the end he doesn't get any meaningful touch on the ball. Headed away by Fabian Schär, and it'll go out for yet another long throw, I'd imagine, from Diogo Dalot, as Joe Linton is not too happy that he's marking Xerxes, so he switches to Euro as the ball comes into the box, and well won by Dan Barron, helped on its way by Jacob Murphy, and the two number 14s, Eriksson and Isak, will chase the ball down. Mazraoui collects the pass from Eriksson, and it'll go all the way back to Bayendir. He's going to play it long over the top. Both sides looking to get a goal before half time. We've got 2 minutes of added time. We've already played the first one. It's gone out for a throw-in on the right-hand side, so if either side's going to get a goal before half-time, you'd assume it's going to be Manchester United from this long throw. Diogo Dalot, it's such an arsenal to have, such an asset to have in your arsenal, as Diogo Dalot gears up for the long throw. And we've seen plenty of teams utilise this before. Xerxes is almost being bullied in the centre of the box, and the long throw finds itself all the way through to Nick Pope, and if he can act fast, maybe he can unlock a Newcastle attack, but Xerxes quick to stand in his way and not allow any of that, as the long throw from Pope finds Trippier. He tries to find Jacob Murphy. Murphy just a little bit too far to the right, unable to get a touch on the ball, and Manchester United play it back to their goalkeeper. You'd assume the referee will blow his whistle soon, as Bayendir takes the goal kick, and the referee does indeed blow his whistle, and that means that after a wonderful strike in the first 20 minutes or so from Sandro Tonali, means that they went 1-0 up on the 24th minute, and then Alejandro Garnacho with a lovely composed, calm finish into the bottom left corner. Absolutely nothing Nick Pope could do about it. And of course, that counter-attack football that we've come to expect from Manchester United means that we are going into half-time. Newcastle United 1, Manchester United 1.
chance. There's a lot of talk about Isak not scoring as many lately. Doesn't matter who scores a goal in the end. It's the fact that you actually get the goals, and Isak has been very, very special today. But as a group, Joe Linton, Tonali, Andy Maris is as well. No, they work okay together. I just think there's more to come for them. Today, they've utterly lost that midfield, all three of them. And all three of them, like the rest of the Newcastle fans and the manager and the assistant manager, will be gutted that they're not ahead right now.
Pat, Mike, thank you both for the time being. Newcastle and Manchester United level at 1 apiece, half-time, second half commentary. On the way, finish Wolves 4, Tottenham 2. The Wolves boss Vitor Pereira. You'll hear from him. We'll be back to Augusta and then second half commentary from St James's Park. All after the news with John Barnes.
The voice of the UK.
This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
32 people have been killed in the northeastern Ukrainian city of Sumy in what Kyiv has described as the deadliest strike on the country so far this year. More than 80 people were injured in the attack involving Russian ballistic missiles. Igor Shoboval is head of the Sumy Regional Organization of the Ukrainian Red Cross Society. Speaking at the scene, he described the emergency operation.
We carried out the wounded. We took the wounded away on stretchers and to hospital. The wounded were of varying degrees of severity, both moderate and severe. But we were not the only ones working. The State Emergency Service was working, the military was working, everyone was helping.
The Labour MP Tulip Siddiq has strongly denied any wrongdoing after officials in Bangladesh said they'd issued a warrant for her arrest. Her lawyers described claims she'd illegally received land from the regime of her aunt, the country's former Prime Minister, as completely false. The Ministry of Justice has said it will carry out a review after 3 prison officers at Franklin Jail in County Durham were injured in an alleged attack by the brother of the Manchester Arena bomber. 2 prison officers remain in hospital. And a man in his 50s has died in what Nottinghamshire police have described as a gas explosion at a terraced house in Worksop last night. Emergency services found his body among the debris. Significant damage was also caused to neighbouring properties.
The Champions League on BBC Radio 5 Live.
On Tuesday at 8.
Aston Villa versus PSG.
And on Wednesday at 8.
Real Madrid versus Arsenal.
And hear all the analysis and reaction on the Football Daily podcast.
The Champions League. Listen live. Ask your smart speakers
to play BBC Radio 5 Live.
This is 5 Live Sport.
With Steve Crossman.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
10 laps to go in the Bahrain Grand Prix. Harry Benjamin is watching.
That 47 of 57, so 10 laps to go, and it's Oscar Piastri who still holds the lead, 4.3 seconds. George Russell, his nearest challenger, is in second. Charles Leclerc rounds out the podium for the time being, but Lando Norris is really piling on the pressure on the Monegasque. Just tried to move down into turn 1, but went too deep, locked up his tyres and went off the track. He'll have to regain that ground and go again as we get in the closing stages of this race. It's going to be a fight to the flag from now.
Live commentary on 5 Sports Extra. Let's go back to Augusta now. Just over, 2 hours until Rory McIlroy will start his final round at the Masters. The pursuit of history will begin on 12 under, 2 shots clear of his playing partner Bryson DeChambeau. Every shot live on 5 Live. Delighted to say we can speak to a real Solheim Cup legend, multiple tour winner Trish Johnson, big part of our commentary team. Afternoon, Trish.
Good afternoon, how are we?
Oh, so good. I mean, not as good as you. I mean, this is going to be special.
Yeah, I hope so. I've been looking forward to this from the end of play yesterday. It's been spine-tingling, really, to think what's at stake and what... the ultimate disappointment from last year's US Open, I think, is something I said earlier today. Only he will know exactly how he was feeling those last few holes. Obviously, 2 very short missed putts. Whether he was getting ahead of himself, thinking about lifting that trophy, whether it was just nerves or something different. As I say, this week he's been very subdued, if you like, in his celebration of any birdies. I mean, yesterday was extraordinary. I don't think he cracked a smile all day long, and playing some of the best golf and hitting a couple of iron shots that were just out of this world. But not even a smile when he knocks the putt in for eagle on the 2 par 5s that he made eagle on. And even coming off 18, as good a round as that was, and the patrons were desperate to cheer him on and get some high fives, there was nothing at all. It was almost as though, I don't know, maybe he did get ahead of himself at the Open, and maybe this is what he needs, the way he needs to feel himself to get the job done today. But he's certainly been very different, and I certainly hope that continues today.
Do you think it helps that it is, or I mean, with the massive caveat, huge caveat, this is Augusta, anything can happen, but it does feel like everything that is likely to happen will happen between McIlroy and the guy who is playing next to him. So we will see it all transpiring within that one partnership.
Yeah, I think it's very important, to be honest. If I was a McIlroy today, you have a number in your mind. He's 12 under par. I think if he thinks to himself, right, if I just go out and shoot 68, 69, it's perfect conditions here again. If I shoot 68, that makes me 16 under par. Well, if Bryson can beat that, then good on him, basically. And if any other player, no one else is going to get near that number. So, what you don't want to become embroiled in is a match play situation where you're watching what he's doing, what Bryson is doing, and then you're reacting to that, because that then becomes... And if that happened, you never know. Someone like Corey Connors could just sneak under the radar and be involved at the end. But I think don't get involved in a head-to-head with Bryson. Bryson is going to be out there trying to gee the crowd up, get them on his side. The interesting thing for me is, and I can't wait to feel what this is like when I'm outside, who do the crowd want to win?
Yeah.
You've got an American who you would think 95% of the crowd would be, be backing. But I don't think it's going to be that way, because I think the history being made if McIlroy wins with his Grand Slam, obviously, and just the whole furor surrounding him winning this tournament, I feel like he's going to be the one that the Americans actually want to come up with to have the green jacket at the end of the day. I could be wrong, but it'll be fascinating to be out there and feel what that atmosphere is like between the players.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of love for Rory McIlroy, as you say, as well. Trish, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure.
That's Trish Johnson, big part of our commentary team tonight, 7:25. Mark Chapman and the team live from Augusta for the final round of the Masters. You can also watch some of the best shots from round 3 right now on the BBC Sport website. Back to the football. Liverpool are now just 6 points away from a record-equalling 20th top-flight league title. They beat West Ham 2-1 at Anfield this afternoon. Liverpool boss Arne Slot is speaking to Gary Flintoff.
Well, Arne, take me into your mind. When it goes 1-1, what are you thinking? And then less than 3 minutes later, Virgil scores. What are you thinking at that point?
The first thing you think is when the 1-1 goes in, they deserve that goal. Maybe I was not thinking that at that moment, but was of course very unlucky that it was an own goal. And the second thing you think is, I cannot make any substitutions anymore, and I just took Mo Salah off. Was that a smart decision? But so many times when we brought Wata in, we simply didn't concede anymore, so that was a reason to do so. But I underestimated maybe again the 11 players that were on the pitch, because what a mentality they showed. Such a difficult second half, then conceding with an own goal. You expect maybe 1-1 is the most we can get out of this game now. But I underestimated the players, because
In Super League, it finished Huddersfield 18, Catalan 38. So that's 7 defeats from 7 for Huddersfield. And it's been boat race day on the Thames. Cambridge won both the men's and women's races. Almost time for the second half at St James's Park. Back to Bahrain first of all. Harry Benjamin.
About 52 of 57. Oscar Piastri leads George Russell. Bursting fight between Charles Leclerc and Lando Norris.
Yeah, and it's put
problems on board his Mercedes. He's 9 seconds adrift of the leader, Oscar Piastri.
Live commentary right now on 5 Sports Extra. 2 of the football stories for you. Peterborough have won the EFL trophy, 2-0 winners over Birmingham City at Wembley. And Manchester United will be in the Women's FA Cup final. They will face Chelsea after a 2-0 victory over Manchester City at the Joy Stadium in the semi-final this afternoon. You are bang up to date. Second half commentary then from St James's Park. Newcastle, Manchester United, level at 1 apiece. Players back out on the pitch. Pat Nevins with Mike Minay.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Doesn't look like there's going to be any changes at the break from either side. Alejandro Garnacho has just had some strapping applied, I think, in and around his calf or ankle area. But yeah, team's back out. And a big second half, certainly for Newcastle United in this race for Champions League spots. We now know that top 5 will do it this season. That was courtesy of Arsenal's win over Real Madrid earlier this week. By the way, the second legs of the Champions League quarterfinals you can hear on 5 Live this week. Aston Villa PSG Tuesday night, Real Madrid Arsenal on Wednesday night. We are back underway here at St James's Park then. Fans, plenty of them still filtering in from their half-time refreshments. The home side, who took the lead through Sandro Tonali, now left to right in the second 45 minutes. Thick black and white stripes on the shirts, vertical stripes with the black shorts and the black socks. To match Manchester United, now right to left, attacking the end where their fans are, housed right up in the sky of St James's Park. Red shirts, white shorts, white socks from right to left. It is a lifted ball out towards the far side. Here's Harvey Barnes, left corner of the penalty area. Livramento's on the overlap, couldn't get the cross in. Mazraoui goes with him, forces him out towards the corner on the far side, and then nudged back by Harvey Barnes. 2 down, Burnham. Newcastle will build from the back and go again.
Yeah, really unlucky Livramento. Almost gets into the corner there. Again, that understanding he's got with Harvey Barnes, and as you mentioned earlier on, seeing he's actually a right back. He's not really bad, is he, out there? He's been absolutely superb, dangerous all the time, and when they get Lewis Hall back in the left and Livramento on the right, you wouldn't know where to stop those 2 going forward.
Newcastle now filling in slowly. What greater squad depth. Certainly an issue in their first season in the Champions League a couple of years ago. They do look set to be heading back to Europe's Premier competition after a year out. Had some special nights here at St James's Park in that group stage time as well.
I think they are better suited for it now. You're absolutely right. Stronger squad, but players that understand it better.
Header from Tonali finds Joe Linton. He's behind Isak on the play-through on the edge of the D. So Manchester United are able to intercept then. Xerxes turns away from a sliding share and is suddenly heading towards the Newcastle penalty area. Dallo on the left-hand side gets a push from Tonali, but he seemed like he might be going down anyway, and I think that's what Chris Kavanagh's seen.
He's not complaining about it at all, Dallo. There's a little bit of a push, but he's running out of legs.
Hamas, rare venture forward for him. The left-sided debutant, Premier League full debut today for Harry Hamas, the 18-year-old. Takes a wild swipe at the ball, goes behind for a goal kick. And there's an issue here too. Sandro Tonali, who's got his boot off on his right foot.
Yes, he has. I mean, it was a brilliant chase back there, wasn't it? Because they were under real pressure. And the more I look at it, the more I think, Dallo, what on earth are you doing? Why go down? Apart from the fact you're running out of legs, you get a bit tired after a very decent run and a sprint. But he's just thrown himself quickly to the ground there when he's half a chance of putting a shot away.
And just having his socks readjusted by his teammate Bruno Guimaraes. So Pope's in goal for Newcastle, running through the 2 teams whilst we've got Chan.
Live.
Unfortunately, due to rights restrictions, we're not able to bring you the current sports commentary on this platform. You may be able to listen on an alternative platform. For further information and terms of use, go to BBC.
But absolutely, he can't do anything about it. He's following the ball. Ball comes back into the middle. Maybe he could have got there, but definitely not from the shot from Harvey Barnes.
Yeah, it's poor from Diogo Dalot in the build-up. He just lets Livramento skip past him so easily. He's unreal. It's really poor from the Portuguese wing-back. It truly is. And then Murphy hooks it back across. Lenny Oro almost falls asleep. He's ball-watching. Doesn't look behind him, so he can't block off the pass. It's his first goal at St James's Park since the 1st of September. Harvey Barnes, one that he'll have been wanted and craving, especially with the fact that Anthony Gordon's back on the bench today, back in a matchday squad for the first time in a little while. So this is certainly big for Harvey Barnes in that sense, who of course scored last time out against Leicester, his former club, as well. But yeah, poor on so many different parts from Manchester United there. And Newcastle, I mean, you've probably got to say it's a deserved lead.
Yeah, it certainly is. Newcastle definitely had the better of the possession of the two teams in the first half. Of course, Manchester United playing this counter-attacking styled football. As it stands, Newcastle find themselves in 4th place in the league, 1 point above Manchester City, 1 point behind Nottingham Forest. If they were to win both games that they have in hand, then they would find themselves in 3rd place, of course, behind Arsenal and Liverpool. So vying for Champions League football, and of course England getting the 5th spot place, also getting Champions League football this year, means that Newcastle fans will be very confident in their ability to do so.
Yeah, of course, the goal puts them back up to 4th position as Dan Burn skips out to Livramento, makes a bit of a mess of his initial clearance. Now here's Garnacho coming forward down the right-hand side. There was a hint of offside initially, but the linesman keeps his flag down. Garnacho with the cutback, nobody there. Tonali clears his lines all the way up to Lindelof, who intercepts it. Agate, now it's going to be Mazraoui. Ball in towards Xerxes, who tries a little back heel in behind. Not the right decision there from the Dutch forward. Had to take that into his stride and turn with it rather than play a first-time pass, but in the end he didn't. Now it's going to be Murphy in possession, finds Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, Guimaraes once more, linking up the two midfielders, and now he's going to go to the left-hand side. It's a great ball out to Harvey Barnes, whose first touch is a good one as well. Driving forwards, having a run at Mazraoui, looked to put it through the Moroccan's legs. In the end, it's well defended by Mazraoui. Ricochets back to Jolinton, lays it off for Tonali, opens it up from distance. Now it's going to be Bruno Guimaraes, Murphy from the edge of the box, good foot in from Eriksen. Bruno Fernandes looks to carry it out. It's going to be Xerxes driving forwards up against Kieran Trippier. It's good play from Xerxes, who's still going himself. Now running at Fabian Sharon. He's still going Xerxes. What a run this is. He now puts it through the legs of Livramento. He holds up, and this is bad news. He's holding his hamstring now as he passes it back to Mazraoui. This is a real problem for Manchester United because Xerxes has gone down. It was a brilliant run from him. I think he probably is the better forward at this time being, and Rasmus Højlund will be coming on. And this injury will probably rule Xerxes out of Thursday as well if it's as serious as maybe first feared, and that is such a shame.
Yeah, it really is, and of course Joshua Xerxes coming into this game, not scored in so long, and I think it's 18 appearances that he hasn't scored in the Premier League, so he's obviously not got the confidence, but with the way he's been playing in this game, he's been playing like a player who's had confidence. Rasmus Højlund, Dorgu and Mason Mount all getting ready to come onto the pitch, so it'll be a slew of changes for Manchester United, but this is not what they want heading into, as you said, probably the biggest game of their season.
Yeah, it's certainly not good news for them in that sense. It's just seen Xerxes helped back to his feet now as he's going to be limping off. It will be the end of his game. He almost grabbed a goal early on in that first half, didn't he, after that lovely bit of link-up play with Bruno Fernandes that was well saved by Nick Pope. But Joshua Xerxes hobbling off at the moment. Not good news. He's been helped off by Bruno Fernandes as well. And this is going to be a big shame for the Dutch forward, who looks in some discomfort, looks a little bit distraught by it as well. 54 minutes on the clock now in this one. 2-1 to Newcastle United. Rasmus Højlund will be coming on for Manchester United, so an opportunity for the Danish forward to make his mark.
Yeah, it certainly is. Of course, Rasmus Højlund in a similar position to Joshua Zirkzee. He hasn't scored in so long, and he's trying to rebuild his confidence. But we're also seeing that Alejandro Garnacho, who scored in the first half, to bring Manchester United back into this game, will also make way in favour of Mason Mount, and we'll also see Harry Amas the conclusion
for Mason Mount as well. So a triple change coming up. Patrick Dorgu onto the pitch alongside Mount and Højlund. Zirkzee, Garnacho and Amas making way. A real opportunity this for Mason Mount, you feel. Yes, he's had his problems with these injuries, which is really a shame. I almost look at this Manchester United system. I think the way they use their midfielders, even the two behind the striker, I think there's certainly a role to be had for him that you could almost fit it perfectly in one of those attacking midfielder roles. As we now see Eriksen, he just needs a good run of games, does Mason Mount. So an opportunity for him to make his mark. He just needs to want the ball, want to be a difference maker, and have the confidence to do so. As we now see Bruno Fernandes in possession, switched it out towards the right hand side for Diogo Dalot. Now it's going to be Mazraoui towards Ugarte. Not under a lot of pressure. Very standoff approach here from Newcastle. At the moment, Lenioro now in possession. Bruno Fernandes back to the Frenchman. Lenioro just takes it out towards Lindelof. Now the pressure is starting to be applied by Newcastle, and they've got the confidence to bypass it so far, Manchester United. Ugarte back towards Mazraoui. Harvey Barnes is running around like a headless chicken at the moment, trying to force a mistake, but it's nice play from Man United. Eriksen with a switch ball out to the left hand side, asking a lot of Dorgu, and Murphy will get there first. Plays it back to Nick Pope, and that's going to be Trippier. A smart turn from him, and then Dorgu just brings him down. It's a ridiculous challenge from Dorgu in the end, one that he didn't necessarily need to make, but it was confident from both sides in that play.
Yeah, it certainly was. Of course, they're coming forward. And trying to just...
The goalkeeper.
No, it's really not. It's actually quite poor from Bain there. There's no real need. There's no rush. I don't understand what he's trying to do there and why he's giving the ball away. But Newcastle, as a team, can definitely pounce on that and make the most of it, as they're trying to do here with Murphy. Tries to put a cross in. Good defence in the end from Dorgu. So we'll go out for a Newcastle corner.
Newcastle corner won by Jacob Murphy down that right hand side.
Doesn't go out for a corner and sends it for a throw in by the corner flag on the right hand side.
Just too slack there, isn't he? Too confident, overconfident. But I always feel sorry for the keeper's been expected to play out from a position. It's hard to do so.
Right, Murphy. Right. Three red shirts around and trying to dance his way past Patrick Dorgu.
The manager, where did I go? I think he's figured it out now.
Amrin takes his seat back in the dugout. Jason Tindall in his white hoodie. Two very relaxed looking managers in their fashion this afternoon. And we wish Eddie Howe well, of course, in his recovery after taking the hospital earlier this week. And if you're listening, Eddie, to how your side's getting on, then we do send our best wishes. Short corner by Trippier in towards the near side of the penalty area. Trippier then goes over after a clash with Bruno Fernandes, which is
the referee has deemed fair, and the official on this near side that was right up with the action as well from that short corner. Trippier slowly gets back to his feet. Here's Isak trying to feed it on, but lazily doesn't get the connection he wants with it. Livramento had continued his run, but it's out for a Manchester United throw-in on this near side. Trippier just gone down again.
I'm not sure. We'll see it again here. I didn't think it was a foul, and I've seen it again. And then I'm pretty confident it wasn't a foul. There's a coming together without a doubt with Bruno Fernandes, who said to Trippier, "I didn't mean anything there, you just ran into me." And Trippier accepts it well.
Yeah, clash of the knees, and Trippier just rubbing his left knee. It is back in position. So United have made that triple change. How do you think? Who gets the call on Newcastle subs? Is that Jason Tindall, or is it predetermined?
And it's well blocked away as it falls towards Tino Livramento. Ball out towards Kieran Trippier on the right hand side once again. Clips it into the middle of the park. Bruno Guimaraes with a sharp turn. Alexander Isak turns away. He's still going himself. Finds Murphy on the right hand side. Ball across the face goal. It's a good one. The header is won by Dan Burn, who stayed in the penalty area, and his header goes over the bar in the end, but it's a half chance.
It's a really good chance, yeah, like you say, a half chance, but it's a good one for the likes of Dan Burn. He does maybe steal the header away from Harvey Barnes, who's just on that back post, but he's got every right to go for it, does Dan Burn, and unable to get over it, which says something for the height that he is.
Yeah, as we see Isak with the ball over the top for Tonali. Scoops it up towards the back post, looking for Harvey Barnes again. By India, punches. Good goalkeeping this time as it goes to Livramento. Harvey Barnes opens his body up, whips it back into the penalty area. By India takes and holds on in the penalty area. So a good couple of moments there from the goalkeeper, but Dan Burn with that half opportunity with the header. Of course, was just recently given his first England call-up by the new manager Thomas Tuchel, who is in attendance at St James's Park today. I'm sure there's plenty of different players he's looking at in this one, and Mason Mount will certainly be one. Mason Mount and Thomas Tuchel had a lot of joy with each other at Chelsea, and here comes Mason Mount down this left-hand side for Manchester United, driving forwards, cuts inside, picks a poor pass in the end, and the clearance is going to go out for a Manchester United corner. I believe maybe even a throw, but I think it looked like a corner. Fabian Schär's not happy with Mason Mount. I think it still comes from that challenge earlier. It ended up going for a Manchester United throw-in, and Dorgu puts it back in towards Ugarte. Eriksson now has Ugarte and Dorgu for company, uses the Uruguayan. That's going to be Lenny Yoro in possession. 62.5 minutes on the clock. A little bit of a standstill at the moment between these two sides in creating chances. Manchester United have struggled to create anything in this second half. Mazraoui on this right hand side finds Diogo Dalot. That's going to be back to Mazraoui. Ugarte once again opens his body up, looks to play it in behind. It's well deflected away by Joelinton, and Manchester United can regain possession once more. Mazraoui opens his body up again, and then he slips in possession. That's a problem. Here's Harvey Barnes driving forwards. He's going all on his own. He's through on goal. It's lovely from Harvey Barnes. It's a big mistake from Mazraoui. I thought Harvey Barnes could have looked up and fed Alexander Isak. He had the confidence to drive on his own, and he smashes it into the back of the net. You think that could be that really in this one. Newcastle 3, Man United 1.
Yeah, Harvey Barnes coming forward with that confidence, like you said. He's really doing his best to cement his position in that left wing. Of course, Anthony Gordon on the bench tonight, but it really opens up some questions for Eddie Howe. And of course, Jason Tindall, who's taken his place today, in who they start at that position, because Harvey Barnes against the Manchester United side that maybe isn't the best in terms of confidence and form, but it's still a strong side to come and play against. But Mazraoui not dealing with the pressure well. Harvey Barnes using his pace and looking at it for a second time. It's a wonderful finish from the English left winger. Not only will he be asking questions of Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall, but maybe even impressing Thomas Tuchel.
It's outstanding from Harvey Barnes. The finish is brilliant as well. Through on goal, all the eyes on him, under pressure. Guides it into that top corner. It's a lovely finish from Harvey Barnes, who grabs his second of the game. Of course, scored last time out as well. He's an absolute fire. And Anthony Gordon, he's back fully fit. Well, he's going to have to work for his place. Joelinton's just almost having a rallying cry towards the Newcastle supporters, cheering them up, waving his arms about, because I'm sure the atmosphere in St James's Park is absolutely booming at the moment as a free kick's been given against Joelinton for a challenge on Ugarte there, who's gone down holding his face. I'm not sure if he's claiming there was an elbow in there from the Brazilian at any point, as Bruno Guimaraes is then just having some words with the referee. But we can just see pictures now of the Newcastle fans singing, chanting, loving life, because they look destined to get back into the top four today, because they've jumped from 7th to 4th so far with these 3 points, and will still have a game in hand on the rest of the side. So Nottingham Forest in danger of losing their spot after their really poor result yesterday at home to Everton. They need to start to regain focus in this little late run-in as well, but of course they've got FA Cup to worry about. Also do Nottingham Forest, whereas Newcastle can only just really focus on this final Premier League hurrah this season, as we now see Yoro in possession. 66 minutes on the clock. Newcastle 3, Manchester United 1, and we now see Patrick Dorgu down this left hand side up against Murphy, but in the end I believe an offside flag has gone up against the Danish wing-back, who struggled to make his mark in this one.
Yeah, he certainly has not really been able to get into the game, and obviously since he's come on, he's created more fouls than he has opportunities for Manchester United, and I think that's going to be an issue for Dorgu. Of course, he's looking to start against Lyon in the big game midweek, but maybe questions should be asked of whether or not that will be the case based off the performance that we've seen so far since he's come onto the pitch. Of course, the fouls being the main contributor.
Yes, we now just see David Ginola in the crowd, formerly of Newcastle. Alan Shearer in attendance as well, so a couple of Newcastle legends here at the game. Lenny Yoro jumps up to win the header. It's well won by Bruno Guimaraes. Ball down the line, looking towards Murphy. Patrick Dorgu better defending from him as he watched it out for a goal kick, but it's been a great second half from Newcastle. I don't think Manchester United have created a chance in this second half. They've really struggled coming out of the traps. They've had one shot in this half, which just isn't good enough for Manchester United's wanted level and known level at times. Only 1 point above Tottenham in the Premier League, and after 32 games, only 10 wins for Man United in the season. That is not good enough at all. As we see Bruno Guimaraes in possession, it's bundled down by Lenny Yoro. The referee waves play on, and now it's going to be Fabian Schär in towards Sandro Tonali. It's going to be Trippier in possession. Bruno Fernandes applying a little bit of pressure. 4 shots for Newcastle in this second half. It's just shown that they've taken the game to Manchester United a little bit more. The 2 on target in this second half have both been the goals from Harvey Barnes as well, who's battling with Lindelof here. Ugarte then back towards Mazraoui, whose first touch isn't a great one, but he just about recovers it ahead of Barnes. It's going to be by India, ball in behind on the left hand side. The flick on from Bruno Fernandes is a nice one, and Højlund looking to hold it up, does well, and then he's brought down by Fabian Schär. It's going to be a clear as day free kick. I'm not too sure why the Swiss international is acting confused with that one. They're taking it quickly, Man United. Here's Dalot on this right hand side, looking to get in. Really poor from him, and Livramento with a great step in can drive away with possession. He's had a great game, Livramento.
Yeah, he certainly has. I mean, of course, contributing to the goal, the second goal of Harvey Barnes, an assist of an assist, but he's just done really well at dominating that left hand side. He's not allowed Diogo Dalot to get past him, and he's gotten past Diogo Dalot himself on multiple occasions, so it's definitely he's definitely been the victor of that battle.
Yes, we now see Trippier in possession, finds Bruno Guimaraes out to Sandro Tonali from distance. Thought about it, goes to the right hand side again though for Murphy, who's then offside. It's lazy from Murphy in the end, who's looking across the line the whole time. He should never be caught offside there. Bruno Fernandes has been hounded by Guimaraes as we now see Yoro go back to by India, but with that we've hit the 69th minute of the game, the halfway mark of the second half. It's one-way traffic as expected and predicted at the moment. Newcastle 3, Manchester United 1. Dale to take you through to full time.
Yeah, Dan Burn just puts the ball out for a throw-in on the right-hand side for Manchester United. So they'll play it back into the path of Bayindir and then to Yoro and Dorgu. Manchester United trying to get themselves back into this game. At this rate, they'll need 1 goal every 10 minutes to equalise. As Bayindir goes long over the top looking for Rasmus Højlund. He does well to shoulder against Fabian Schär, but doesn't actually win the ball. And Schär does the better of the two to win the ball, and that's a lovely flick from Harvey Barnes to beat Mazraoui. Harvey Barnes driving here, but Mazraoui does well to recover and get a leg in front of Harvey Barnes' shot and not allow that to test Bayindir. And that's one of the factors of, you know, helping your goalkeeper out and not letting him test him. And Mazraoui, he didn't have the pace, but he did have just that little bit of space to lunge and maybe that IQ just to make sure he didn't allow that shot to come in from Harvey Barnes. But that flick from Harvey Barnes was absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, it's brilliant. He's a man full of confidence at the moment. He's the left winger, 2 goals to his name. He's having a bit of fun out there, showing the trickery, showing the skills and showing the quality, which is the most important. The corner ready to be taken, 71 minutes on the clock. Kieran Trippier, the man over this one.
It will be an in-swinging cross from Kieran Trippier. His right boot from the left-hand side. Almost slices the ball in towards Dan Burn. A header flicked on and almost messily into the penalty area. Dan Burn wins it back. Murphy, now 40 yards away from goal, plays it into Guimaraes. He does well physically to make sure that Dorgu can't get the ball. That's a lovely pass from Dan Burn into the path of Jacob Murphy. He tries to put it through the legs of Ugarte, but Dorgu gets involved and wins the ball back for Manchester United. But that's a poor pass out from the back for Manchester United and well intercepted by Tonali. Fabian Schär now on the left-hand side finds himself in the box. Good defence from Mason Mount to win the ball back yet again. Manchester United need to get it away here. Bruno Fernandes dancing with danger as he eventually loses the ball. Tonali just poking it away. However, it does go out for a Manchester United goal kick, so they should, in theory, get this out.
Brilliant hounding there from Sandro Tonali, was not letting Bruno Fernandes get out, and you could just see the Newcastle fans on the bottom of that stand behind the goal. They went mental, celebrating Tonali's pressure and work ethic, and that's what epitomises this club, really. The Newcastle fans, they thrive off energy, they thrive off the pressing, and when it works, it absolutely gets them going as if they've scored a goal again themselves. But yeah, brilliant from Tonali, who's been outstanding all game.
Certainly has. I think the passion defines the club in this case for Newcastle United as they see themselves 3-1 up against Manchester United in the 73rd minute as Christian Eriksen combines himself with Fernandes. That's a lovely pass from Fernandes, and Manchester United trying to play it out from the back here, forcing it all the way back to Bayindir. He's had to go long, trying to find Dorgu. Dorgu goes into the back of Kieran Trippier, says the referee Michael Oliver, and that means Trippier's gone down, and it will be a Newcastle United free kick.
Yeah, and another one given away by Dorgu. So it's a substitute, and he's given away 3 or 4 fouls already in this game. I mean, it's not good enough from him. He's a young player, and you can maybe see that youngness in him with the immaturity of his challenges. But yeah, free kick for Newcastle, even at 3-1 up, 73 minutes played, not long to go. They're still throwing all the bodies forward from the free kick. It just shows that they still want to score more goals. It's refreshing to see a side not just sit on a lead.
It certainly is, as we see Newcastle and Jacob Murphy gearing up to take this free kick, and you maybe question if Kieran Trippier is feeling okay after the free kick. If Murphy's after the foul if Murphy's taking the free kick. But the header's won by Dan Byrne. The second ball is won by Rasmus Højlund. Tries to find Fernandez and link up so they can break out, but eventually dispossessed. Well, won back in the end by Rasmus Højlund, but Patrick Dorgu plays the ball out to the right hand side, and that's a really poor ball there from the wing back, which means Man United recuperate possession, but it did bring a halt to the potential counter-attack as Lenny Yoro finds himself with the ball just into the Newcastle United half. A lovely pass there from Bruno Fernandes over the top looking for Højlund. Højlund looks to put the ball into the box. The ball does come in. There's options there for Manchester United, but none really taken. Manuel Ugarte with a shot from the edge of the box, but Nick Pope just had to diffuse the power and then he could pick it up with his hands.
Yeah, it's a simple save from Nick Pope, making sure it just doesn't go through anyone, through any bodies, taking any deflections. So once he'd watched it all the way, he just almost parried it into his own grasp, really, as no one was following it in. So a simple save from Nick Pope. I don't mind the fact that Ugarte's gone for goal there. You've got to, as much as it sounds obvious, you've got to shoot to score, and ultimately Manchester United haven't been having any shots in this second half, so they've had no chance of scoring at all. But here comes Javi Barnes, Newcastle back on the attack.
Yeah, Dan Byrne in the centre of the pitch now with the ball into Fabian Schär as Newcastle United look to come forward, but it's a poor pass there from the Newcastle centre half as it's eventually picked up yet again by Guimaraes, and then Tonali and Guimaraes will link up a fair few times before going back to Dan Byrne. Newcastle just controlling the game a little bit more now as they try and come forward. Now to the right hand side with Trippier. Once more to Murphy. Really getting into the byline now. Ball comes into the box. A touch from Isak. Couldn't control it. It's eventually hooked away. Trippier puts another ball into the box. Harvey Barnes is in the middle, but it's well collected by Bayındır. And I have to say, Bayındır, he's conceded 3 goals, but they've all been really well worked goals from Newcastle United. And he's been very, very dominant when he's collecting those balls coming out into the box.
Yeah, he's not had a bad game. The goalkeeper, I think he's just done what you've expected. As we say that though, he's had a howler, and Bruno Guimaraes has tapped it in, and it's definition of curse of the commentator. Bayındır was doing everything right, wasn't he, Dale? We start to praise him, and then his clearance is terrible. Joelinton wins the header. Guimaraes taps home. It's 4-1.
Yeah, and that will be the game for Newcastle United, and it will put Manchester United to bed, and maybe Bayındır's hopes of overtaking Onana's position as the #1 goalkeeper to bed as well, because that is a really, really poor mistake from the Turkish goalkeeper. I don't know why he's rushed the clearance, and he's got it all wrong, incredibly wrong, and it's just led to an easy goal for the Newcastle United captain.
Yeah, it certainly is, and Bruno Guimaraes, once again, it's a lovely finish from a Newcastle man. The actual finishes on display have been outstanding today, haven't they? But just going to see it back now. Bayındır tries to clip it into the middle of the park, gets it all wrong. Joelinton heads it down. Bruno Guimaraes with a literal tap, well, not a tap in, he's still got the goalkeeper to beat, but it was a lovely finish at the near post. 4-1, game over, 77 minutes on the clock. I won't be surprised to see Onana back in there on Thursday.
Yeah, it's definitely not what you want to see if you're a Manchester United fan. Of course, both 2 games, 2 goalkeepers, 3 mistakes from the goalkeepers as Bruno Guimaraes sinks yet another goal, and Newcastle United, well, they're looking set to bring on a slew of substitutions.
Yeah, it looks like Emil Kraft, Callum Wilson, Anthony Gordon ready to come on. I believe there was another one as well, but Anthony Gordon, he's finally back for Newcastle. Of course, he'll have been devastated to miss that final, but it was his own fault as to why he did that ridiculous red card that he had picked up, as his Trippier, Murphy and Isak that make way.
Yeah, so it's relatively similar like-for-like substitutions for Newcastle, as I'm sure it's nothing but game time for them as they're cruising to 3 points and cruising to Champions League football. It looks like Manchester United have made a substitution as well in the form of Nusayr Mazraoui taking his place on the bench, and replacing him will be Luke Shaw. So a relatively simple change for Ruben Amorim's men, who has continued relatively poor form as Manchester United manager.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it's been a really poor day for Ruben Amorim's side, who certainly had potential in this game, but this second half has just been shocking for them. They've got to now just build, look ahead to Thursday, spend some real hard moments on that training pitch over the next few days as well, because like we said, that game on Thursday is quite clearly going to be their biggest game of this season. It's going to be their only hope of European football next season, as we now see Harvey Barnes bowling towards Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah, driving up the right hand side, but dispossessed in the end, and it will go out for a Manchester United throw-in in the left hand side in their own half of Manchester United, as Patrick Dorgu looks set to take this free throw-in, of course, as he hasn't got too many options, the Manchester United left wing back, and eventually has to take it, but is immediately dispossessed. Bruno Guimaraes into Harvey Barnes, back to Guimaraes on the edge of the box, not got any options, surrounded by red shirts. In the end does find Barnes. Barnes plays it back to Tonali. Tonali once more to Barnes, the overlap of Kraft coming in, but decides to go for Tonali instead, and Newcastle United will reset the play as it goes to Kraft. And then back to Tonali. I think it's interesting to see that while Harvey Barnes, of course, has scored 2 goals today in that left wing position, it will be Gordon who takes up that left wing position, and Harvey Barnes will drift out to the right hand side for the remainder of the match. As a ball played in towards the central area deflects away off of Bruno Guimaraes and eventually goes out for a Manchester United throw-in. And Kobbie Mainoo will make his way onto the pitch. Manchester United making another substitution, and Bruno Fernandes will make way in favour of the young Manchester United man.
Yeah, he's going to make way, giving the captain's armband to Victor Lindelof. I mean, that's not exactly an inspiring captain. You have to say, I'm not sure that he's going to get a lot of talking points across to his teammates, but yeah, Bruno Fernandes making way for Kobbie Mainoo. A change that they're just looking to Thursday now, aren't they? Bruno Fernandes, they don't need to risk him for the remainder of this one. Kobbie Mainoo, valuable minutes for him as well. Needs to get up to match fitness and match sharpness, because I think they could really do with having him back in a starting 11 from a regular perspective, game in, game out.
It certainly will, as Manchester United trying to break here yet again, maybe spark some form of a potential comeback, but that was immediately quashed by Newcastle defenders in Emil Kraft and Fabian Schär as it goes out for a throw-in for Manchester United. Christian Eriksen finds Dorgu, and just on the edge of the box now into the path of Kobbie Mainoo, and then once more to Christian Eriksen and Luke Shaw, and then Lindelof, of course the acting captain as it stands, back to Yoro, and well, Manchester United are going to be forced all the way back to their own goalkeeper, nearly losing out possession yet again, Bayindir, and I'm sure he's not hoping to tie Onana's 2 mistakes in the one game, as that's well worked by Ugarte to get away from the Newcastle press. Dorgu finds himself with the ball on the edge of the box, puts the ball into the area. No one's really there for Manchester United, so it's headed away well by Harvey Barnes, only as far as Eriksen, and then Dorgu, and then once more to find a shot in the box there from Mason Mount, and they're just trying to come forward here, Manchester United, but Newcastle United 4-1 up with 7 minutes left on the clock. It's a relatively easy finish for them.
Yeah, it certainly is. 83 minutes on the clock. Newcastle 4, Manchester United 1. A bit of a half chance there from from Manchester United. Pop shot from Mason Mount. A simple save from Nick Pope there. Maybe his 3rd or 4th save of the game, the Newcastle goalkeeper. But it was a simple one. You think Newcastle are going to try and rally these seconds and minutes down on the clock by knocking the ball around, doing what they can with it.
Certainly will, as Bruno Guimaraes goes down, gets straight back up, but it does go out for a Newcastle throw on the right hand side, near enough to the halfway line, and it will be a free kick actually, as Bruno Guimaraes got nipped in the heels. I'd be surprised if it goes any further than that. And Ruben Amorim not going to be best pleased, but we're of the understanding that he doesn't quite have the team that he would like at Manchester United. And to judge him not on his first season but on his second, as Ugarte wins the ball back, or so he thought. Joel Linton went down for a free kick, and it will be some more substitutions for Newcastle.
Yeah, Lewis Miley and Longstaff getting ready to come on. So fresh legs in the middle of the park for Newcastle. Bruno Guimaraes and Joel Linton, the two to make way, but have both had brilliant games again.
They certainly have for Newcastle, and in this case, it's just giving some game time to some other players, as Joel Linton finds himself in a bit of a scuffle with Victor Lindelof, Callum Wilson and Guimaraes trying to defuse the situation, and that will be Guimaraes' last act on the field to just help calm things down and maintain the professionalism that we've seen from Newcastle United. Of course, they are a passionate club with passionate players, but they're trying to remain that way while keeping some professionalism about them.
Yeah, definitely. And Lewis Miley, the youngster coming on, he's going to do everything he can to get his body around, as we see a free kick. No free kick actually, advantage played. Manchester United coming down this right hand side, but yeah, they're subbing on two workhorse midfielders, and I mean it's perfect substitutions to have at this stage of the game, as Kobbie Mainoo with a poor ball. Livramento regains possession, ball over the top.
Yeah, ball over the top into the path of Anthony Gordon in a foot race against Lenny Yoro. Yoro doing well to win the ball and put it out for a throw-in. Lewis Miley has the ball now on the edge of the box, loses out on possession, and Rasmus Højlund will look to maintain possession, unable to do so in the end. So that means that Newcastle will come forward in Sandro Tonali. I say come forward, they have possession and they're moving it more so side to side as they eventually play a pass into the midfield, into the path of Sean Longstaff, but he gets fouled in the centre of the park by Luke Shaw, and Newcastle will take that free kick quickly. Longstaff now to the right hand side with Emil Kraft, back to Tonali. Of course, Newcastle United more than happy to see this 4-1 victory out and maybe just whittle down the clock and remove any hope of a Manchester United comeback, as they play it up the left hand side with Livramento, and then into Nick Pope and back to Fabian Schär. Newcastle United definitely have some issues to sort out, as Emil Kraft running at their defence lays it off to Harvey Barnes. A ball tapped on towards Longstaff, dealt with well by Lindelof, but eventually poked out by Ugarte, and it will be a Newcastle throw-in close enough to the corner flag.
Yeah, really good play down this right-hand side from a few Newcastle players, just not letting Manchester United have any of the ball in these final minutes. They're taking their time, and it's really smart game management by Newcastle. Yes, Manchester United, no matter what, even if they score, they're still not going to get anything from this game. It's too little time to score 3 goals. If Longstaff plays a poor pass, it goes straight back out for Man United throwing this time. But for the players that are getting subbed on, they've just got to do their jobs of just seeing this game out, tiring the opposition out, and getting their bodies about and showing a bit of quality themselves and letting everybody know that they're still a big part of this team.
Certainly do, as Newcastle United try to come forward or try and press this Manchester United side, as the ball goes out for a Manchester United throw, much to Emil Kraft's dismay. And Jason Tindall, of course, had to take up the mantle of Eddie Howe in this game. I'm sure if Eddie Howe's watching, he is more than happy with how his team has played. And the press here, Bayindir's in some trouble here, eventually getting it out of his feet, but Anthony Gordon and Callum Wilson, both prolific players, they were sniffing, they sensed danger. Bayindir eventually getting it away, but not looking comfortable in the last 10 minutes of this game.
No, he's got away with one there, as Bayindir, because you see goalkeepers cleverly take on strikers sometimes, don't you? He didn't know what he was doing there. He got really lucky. It was a poor touch, and he was almost just waiting for the ball, and luckily for him, he just played the pass and it somehow didn't ricochet back off Anthony Gordon. He is a lucky man. Is Altai by India as there's a free kick for Newcastle.
Yeah, Newcastle with a free kick in a relatively similar area that we've seen all game. Sandro Tonali will take the obligatory time to tie his shoelaces as Ruben Amorim looks ponderously onto the pitch, and Tonali plays it backwards, back to himself, and then once more to Kraft, and then back to the Italian in the centre of the park. He's certainly orchestrated a lot this game, Sandro Tonali, and just as we are approaching the 90th minute mark, of course we don't have a Man of the Match award, but I would ask who you'd assume it would go to.
Yeah, it's got to go to Harvey Barnes, really. He scored the 2 goals, but it's not necessarily just because of that. He's had a brilliant game as well. Tonali, a close runner-up. He's been absolutely fantastic in this one. But yeah, it's the difference makers in the game, really. Is Dallo is coming forward down the right-hand side.
Yeah, he eventually plays it back into the path of Ugarte. Ugarte's done well to not pick up a second yellow card in this game. Luke Shaw with the ball into the box. A header comes in, and it's not a bad header in the end. And I think Rasmus Højlund with a decent opportunity to get himself on the score sheet. And if that was an opportunity, if he did get that on the score sheet, it'd be great for his confidence.
Yeah, it would have been, but he just directed it wide in the end. Did the forward, not a great header from him. He's running on it very straight as well, so you're never going to be able to hook that back goalwards. 5 minutes of added time as well in this one, so not long left.
Certainly not long left, and nowhere near enough time for Manchester United to get back into this game. And you were entirely right. Harvey Barnes has been awarded the player of the match, and I think very well deserved for the English left winger, as he did get the 2 goals. And not only did he get 2 goals, but they were an important 2 goals at important times to get Newcastle ahead and then secure the win. As Livramento just pokes the ball out on the left-hand side, but it will be a Newcastle throw-in as it took a deflection on its way, as Dan Byrne will be the one to take the throw as it goes out to the right and eventually picked up by Manchester United, and then dispossessed well by Livramento was Mason Mount, and played back to Dan Byrne. He hoists it up along the right hand side to find Kraft. Kraft will drive up this right hand side now. He's got Harvey Barnes as an option. He does use him. It's a short pass to Harvey Barnes. He uses his physicality to shake off Dorgu, but Dorgu gets back up and wins the ball yet again. Lovely footwork there from Dorgu to put it through the legs of Lewis Miley and win his side a free kick. And I think that's what you want to see more of from Patrick Dorgu. Not so much the fouls, not so much the physicality, not so much the mistakes, but the lovely footwork.
Yeah, he's a great player with the ball at his feet. He epitomises really what a left wing back is, because he can defend and he can attack. We just need to see it more. We need to see it a little bit more comfortable as well. Lovely pressing from Gordon, who's put Yoro in a sticky situation at the back here. Gives it back to his goalkeeper by India, then slips when he clears it. Livramento up against Dallo's. Dan Byrne puts a foot in and wins the throw. Brilliant from Newcastle.
Yeah, it certainly has been brilliant from Newcastle United from start to finish, as we see pictures of the fans yet again absolutely chanting their hearts out as they see their side go 4-1 up against the mighty Manchester United. And it looks like, well, it's all but guaranteed that they're going to win this game, as the throw-in comes in and Kobbie Mainoo plays it out to the right hand side to Mason Mount, and completely clattered away by Valentino Livramento. Bayendir will collect, plays it into Lenny Yoro, back to Bayendir, and this is just my opinion, of course, but if I'd have seen the struggles that Bayendir has had at his feet in this game, I wouldn't have trusted him to have it yet again. He did lose possession, but well won back by Luke Shaw. Now Rasmus Højlund drives at the Newcastle defence. It's a 2v2 situation, but Newcastle players are getting back, and Højlund's gone all the way, taking the shot, and in the end, maybe not the best shot that he could have taken. It's deflected out.
Yeah, it's a decent run from Højlund. He had the confidence to just drive forwards with it, but in the end, it's not an amazing strike. It's very close to the defender. It's deflected out for a Manchester United corner with about a minute and a half remaining. Whatever happens here would be a consolation.
Certainly would, as Christian Eriksen plays it back to Luke Shaw, back to Eriksen, and a ball into the box that doesn't beat the first man. And Newcastle United coming here at home today against Manchester United that have struggled as of late. And a long ball over the top there from Bayindir finds Eriksen, but Newcastle United getting the job done here tonight and getting a crucial 3 points in their bid for top 4, using those games in hand well, as it seems. And Sandro Tonali coming forward now on the left hand side. He's going to go almost all the way. He does actually have the pace to beat Lenny Yoro. Maybe Yoro's just more than happy to stay goal side of him, as Lewis Miley picks up the ball from Tonali. Now Longstaff. Newcastle United, about 30 seconds left. They really want to put that final nail in the coffin that is Manchester United, and the door on their bus home, as Fabian Schär picks the ball up in the centre of the pitch. Back to Longstaff, and yet again Dan Byrne, who's been spectacular today as well, just absolutely bodying the Manchester United forwards, not allowing them to get any balls over the top and not allowing them to get anything through the middle either, as Newcastle